your ass at home. Cause life is all about what will make you go, that's what's wrong. When they go to each his own, nah, to each his own. We taking over the world, bringing the profits home. And that's it. And yeah, you niggas to stand in my way. You niggas is scared, you wear purple panties. Great, you wear your bricks on top of the block. Talking to cops, trying to get arrested. You want to see it calling you out, that's why I go affiliation. No fuck with you out, you got me. And you know this, man. If it ain't UBK, then it's bogus, man. Your Honda had to remind us what the code is, man. And now we hot niggas, but we still the coldest, man. Because I'm in the hot boy, what you call that? And if I ain't a hot boy, what you call that? We said a blade to the street and we promised out to the way and being paid with the seat for purpose, being that king and set up out to the lies and the whole day over there. All day was either true and it's written on the blind that we can not see the real reason to the lies, command generating honor and the sun inside of the key. Niggas that rubbish for like you did like preachers looking for another way around and they got no discipline. Tell you work than the warrior and it's all these music and we're winning to the business and around you ain't got one of my bones, but you ain't got no spine. You get in the mind, you feeling this, you feel what you ride. You can keep it all in the count, I'm gonna hold that line. You are the live in the business, practicing with your business. Ain't that hot boy, I thought you fought it, where you teach it is. I got it one way. I'm too loud, that's what I keep on telling me. I need to cool out. Put the full switches out, put the tool out, just the home of the truth, my nigga. And you not, I ain't a hot boy, what you call that? And I ain't a hot boy, what you call that? Shalom Missouri with the ISUPK, started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander Junior Hanna. Since 1969, we've been teaching so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the truth according to the Bible, right? We're located here in St. Louis at 5261 Delmar Boulevard, Suite A. It's in the city of St. Louis, Missouri, 63108. We have classes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday night, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And we have class every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Right? Every third Friday, Commander Junior Hanna will be giving away as much food pretty much as you can haul away. You know what I mean? Right outside here, 5261 Delmar Boulevard. And again, that's on the corner of Delmar and Union, right? That's going to be from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. every third Friday of each month. Right? Let's see. We got Sharpen the Sword Radio every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. hosted by Captain the Dog the Bar, right? And you know, there's been many people coming on that show, especially, you know what I mean, our oppressors, thinking that they can come in and somehow get one over on the UPK, like we don't understand the book that we teach, right? Like we don't understand our book, right? Because that's just like our enemy, right? And what they do is they want to tell you about yourself, right? You don't get to, you can't read, you can't study, you can't come to an understanding. You have to believe what they tell you to believe, right? You have to say it the way they tell you to say it, and if you don't, you know, they need to come and correct you. But they've been trying to come on and raise some sort of debate with Captain the Dog Bar, but there hasn't been one yet that's lasted more than maybe 5-10 minutes before they start saying the most ridiculous things ever, right? And that's because what is going to be soon known throughout the entire earth, right? The ISUPK is the home of the truth, and the only way that you can understand what's written in that book that's in every so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American's house, the only way you'll even be able to understand it is by coming to the priests and prophets of the ISUPK. Right? Now, if you got any question on any classes, radio show, food drive, anything that we got going on at the school, right, the phone number to call is area code 314-696-8288. All right. See if we got any questions online first. Questions? Alright, so let's dive straight into this, right? And you know, what we've been seeing and what we will continue to see going on in today's society, right? And in today's world, as you know, we get closer and closer to the time when Christ returns, right? Is, you know, we gonna start seeing more and more of these diseases and more of these plagues and pandemics, you know, popping up, because, you know, a lot of people thought, you know what I mean, COVID-19 was like gonna be the worst thing ever, and after this, and they thought after that pandemic was over with, we were going to be able to go back to somewhat of a normal life. And the Most High is showing you, right? Like,
whatever you thought was a normal life, whatever you thought, you know what I mean, the life you was living before that's done and over with now, right? Because it's things that gotta happen, you know, before Christ's return, and you know what I'm saying. With those things happening, right? The only way to get protection, right, it is by following the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God, right? Because let's look at this, right? Monkeypox, right? Let's go over a few facts about monkeypox, right? This isn't the first time monkeypox has hit the United States of America, right? Right now we know that it's been going on, in, you know what I mean, in Africa for some years, but in the United States of America, about 20 years ago, right? It was 30 cases of monkeypox that hit the United States of America, right? It was contained and it was controlled very easily, right? And what it came from was people had these animals called prairie dogs, right? These prairie dogs, they had them as pets, right? And it basically was a disease that they ended up getting from their pets, right? But it never got to the point where it was human-to-human transmission. And then on top of that, monkeypox, right, is a variant of smallpox, which is a disease that they've known and have vaccines and treatments and cures for decades now, right? Monkeypox. In fact, you know, when who was that? One of the spokespeople for the World Health Organization, right? She came out, and then when monkeypox, I think it was like 140, 150 cases, something like that, in the United States. She came out and said, "Listen, you know, it's something that we can contain. It's something that we can control and we can stop from spreading, right?" That's just to let you understand, right, what monkeypox is, right? This is a disease that's not new. This is something that's not that, you know, the medical world had never seen. Like with COVID-19, you could at least say, okay, well, this is a different strain of something, and so like they have some familiarity, but they're not sure about how to deal with this one. So that's why it had such a wide effect, right? This is not a different variant of monkeypox. Right? This variant of monkeypox is the same monkeypox that they've always known. But why is it spreading so? Why are so many people being affected? And that is because the Most High God is spreading these plagues, right? These curses are going throughout the earth, right? Because these are the things that have to happen, you know, before Christ returns, and the only people that will be protected are those who follow the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God. And you know what I mean? It's not even a spooky thing, right? These diseases are spread from unlawful behavior and unlawful activities, right? If you do not do these unlawful things, you will not expose yourself to these things, right? You know, and I believe it just recently in the United States made it outside so-called LGBTQI whatever community, right? And that's because if you were not involved in that, and it was so prevalent there, and the law would have saved you, because if you were not involved in that community, then you would not have gotten it, right? If you are not involved in illicit sex, right, or doing things unnatural, right, then you do not have to worry because you follow the law, right? And then coming into the ISUPK, that is the only way to learn how to follow the law to the point to where the next pandemic or the next disease or the next wave doesn't catch you, Why? Because following the law kept you out of this, but you don't know the whole law, right? You don't follow the whole law. You don't study the whole law. So something else is going to catch you, even though this one didn't, right? It just because, you know what I mean, you thought that you were safe, you know, because you did the things that you were supposed to do to stop you from getting COVID-19, and that don't mean it's going to stop you from getting monkeypox. That don't mean it's going to stop you from getting whatever disease comes up. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was something that, like the flu, right? Or like what they call the common cold. That would be the next thing. Because the Most High is trying to show that it's about following His law, statutes, and commandments, right? It's not about, you know what I mean, your alkaline balance, right? It's not about aligning your chakras and kundalinis and all that stuff. It's not about, you know what I'm saying, getting in touch with the ancestors. It's nothing about any of that, right? It's about following these laws, statutes, commandments of the Most High God, right? And our people don't understand that that's what we need to do because we've been in the Christian church so long, right? We've been in that darkness for so long, right? That we just that what ends up happening to us as a people, we come out blind and feeling around trying to figure out what we're supposed to do and what's right. And there's a reason why most of our people come stumbling out of that church, right? They've been so destroyed, so messed up, you know what I mean? So many things have happened to them in that church, and they just don't understand why this place is supposed to be, you know what I mean, what they call the house of God, but there's only evil and darkness and sickness in there, right? All right, so we're going to the book of Isaiah, right? And we're going to the 8th chapter, right, and the 20th verse. All right. Again, that was the book of Isaiah, chapter 8, verse 20. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. See, our community has been led by people that have no light in them, right? We see these, what we see is a falsehood, right? A similitude of life, right? We see them living a lavish lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? We see them doing seemingly better than what we're doing, and you know, as a people who's always been at the bottom, you know what I mean? It's somewhat unnatural for us to want to do that, right, and follow that, right? Because at one point in time in the so-called black community, it was a shame to be a pimp. Right? At one point, it was shameful to be making money off of your woman, right? And then later on, you know, because of the lifestyle they appeared to be living, you know, the pimp became, you know what I mean? He became who everybody wanted to be in the neighborhood, right? It was a shameful thing, you know what I mean, in our community. If you sold drugs, right? If you were a criminal, it was a shameful thing, right? But we started seeing all these things of the world and the apparent success that we thought we could get, and that's what we started wanting to go after. Why? Because the leaders of our community, right? They had no light to show us. Right? They taught us what they thought was best, and we came out of their own mind and what came out of their own heart, right? But the scripture says, and I'm going to read it again, to the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them, right? So if you come out of what you think and how you feel, that there's no light in that, right? You can't lead a people that way. You can't lead a people based off of how you feel and what you think, right? There has to be a standard, right? And we follow the laws of the Most High God because that is the only way that we as a people can survive, right? We've tried every other way, right? We've tried to, we've come up with our own gods, right? We followed our oppressors' gods. We followed every other god in the world, right? We've tried atheism, and we've tried every way of being, right? Except for actually following the laws of the Most High God. That's the one thing we haven't tried, and that's the reason that we in the situation we in. Right? That's the reason why. You know what I mean? I was just reading the story, and I thought it was a follow up from a story I had read the day before, but it was a completely different story. Because I was reading and I saw a story that said, it was earlier today. It said 19-year-old found shot dead. I believe it was on. I think that one was the 300 block of Grand. Right over here. It's over in St. Louis. It's over by it's over by Slough, right, and on Grand. And I thought it was the story I was reading from earlier when it was a 20-year-old black man who had got a single gunshot wound. See, what made me realize I was looking at two different stories was because one of them was shot with a single gunshot wound in the chest, and the other was with a single gunshot wound to the head. Right? This is not something. I guess the best word for it would be esoteric. Right? That's not what this is. Right? This is not a book of a fantasy, of non-reality. Listen, this Bible is an instruction, and it is 100% real. Our oppressor has taught us and made us believe that there is some fiction in here, or that there is some magic or some fantasy in this book. There is no fantasy. Right? There's no magic. Right? We don't follow God's laws, we die. That's just it. Right? These other nations and people, they get away with it, but we don't. All we got to do is look around our neighborhood, and those are just two stories that I just so happen to read. You know what I mean? And it wasn't I was looking for, right? It wasn't how many people died in the city today. I wasn't looking for that. Like when you study and you research and you do that, then you can dig in and get better numbers and see exactly how many die every day. And I know in St. Louis, the per capita rate is ridiculous. It's the reason why St. Louis is one of the murder capitals of the country every year. You know, they battle back and forth. They're always in the top 4 or 5, no matter what the year is. But it's just so prevalent in our community that it's almost normal, right? It's almost unnormal for us to be driving in our neighborhoods and not see a funeral home packed on the weekend. Not even for somebody who is older or died of natural causes. For between 14 and 25. That's not abnormal. Right? We don't even understand how we have become such the example of death. Right? Because the way we live, not following God's laws, not following the law, statutes, commandments, Most High God gave us, and trying to be like all these other nations, right? We have been completely destroyed. There's no other way to say it, destroyed. And in fact, that goes right into this next scripture. Right? And it's the book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 6. Right? And a lot of times, our people, we know this verse, but it baffles me how many Christians I know that will quote this verse, be talking about themselves, and still don't understand that they Israel. Like, this verse fits the black Christian church and the black community and the Hispanic community and the Native American community so much that this verse alone should be there should be no more question anymore after that, right? We're going to go ahead and read this verse. This is the book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. It doesn't say all people. It says his people. The Most High's people are the children of Israel, right? This is Hosea right next. Who's Hosea? A prophet. Who are Hosea's people? The children of Israel. Right? The context cannot be distorted to say that this means anybody else besides the children of Israel. But we know if we look around that this is talking about blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans today. Right? That we have been destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Right? And a bad habit that we as a people pick up, you know what I'm saying, in the Christian church is we'll read something out of context and just go with that. Or we won't finish, and it's part of reading out of context. We'll read part of something and then don't read the whole thing to get a full understanding. So we're going to read this whole verse, right? We're starting at the top again. My people have destroyed, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God. I will also forget thy children. And we know that this verse is talking about us. The first part, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. We listen. You can't tell me a so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American on the face of this earth that'll read that and be like, nah, that's not talking about me or my people. What? Nah, this is obviously us. But then when we get down to the part where it says, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, first off, the Most High God is our God. He is the God of the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Thus saith the Bible. He is the God of Israel and none else. Like that is, those are not my words. That is scripture. Right? So we understand that from simply reading and reading comprehension that the Most High God is the God of Israel. And Israel are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Right? And what knowledge is that? It's because we have forgotten the law of the Most High God. We don't follow the laws of the Most High God, so we go be number one in AIDS. We go be number one in diabetes and hypertension. Right? We will be number one in COVID-19. We gonna be number one. We gonna be number one in monkeypox. We gonna be number one in everything in everything horrible, in every disease. We gonna stay the last hire first fire, right? We gonna stay always on the bottom of society until we follow the laws of the Most High God, right? We got these groups out here that give false hope to our people, right? And make them believe in the stupidest thing in the world, that somehow you're gonna arm up and start a revolution against our enemy. That's not how this works. Now, don't get me wrong. This is the ISUPK. If you can lawfully carry a firearm within your state, we suggest that every person, exercise their rights as they see fit, right? If it is lawful for you to do it, then every person should have the ability to exercise their constitutional rights, right? So, with that being said, that's not how we win this. That's not how we get ourselves out of this situation. That's not how we do it. How we do it is coming back to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God. Right? That is how you beat high blood pressure. That's how you beat gout. That's how you beat being diabetic and having diabetes. Right? That's how you do it. How you follow the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God. Right? You put down the shrimp, crab, and lobster. Right? You don't touch that pork no more. Right? You deal justly with your brothers and sisters. Right? You lend to your brothers and sisters with no usury and no interest, but you lend to a heathen at interest. Right? We as a people treat us better. Right? We take our love and give it to the children of Israel. Right? We don't love another nation. This is following the laws. Loving your neighbor is loving the children of your own people. Let's get that. Right? Let's not just make it again. This is what is needed in our community is we need to read what thus saith the Most High God instead of just believing what somebody tells us and thinking that the pastor is being honest with us at all times, right? Let's see here. Is it, no? Let's see. That's right. One moment. There we go. Perfect. So we're just going to go to the law, right? Because I can say this is the law all day and night, right? But unless, I read it and it says exactly what I'm saying, right? And I'm giving you my own opinion, right? If I can't show you it in here, then it's my own opinion. And guess what? You should take that to your pastor. Right? You should take that to those people who are your so-called leaders. Listen, if it doesn't say this, then it's just your opinion, man. Like that's it, right? We believe as a people that our leaders have our best intentions. I mean, they have our best interests in their own mind and in their own wishes, and it's not the truth always, right? But let's read exactly what this says. And this is the law, right? This law would save thousands upon thousands of our people. This would save millions of our people every year. Just this one law, right? It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, starting at verse 17, right? Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. See, this is talking about your people. Right? You should not hate your brother in your heart. In your mind, you should not hate your brother or your sister for any reason. Right? Now, of course, you know what I mean? This is us talking about how we are dealing with our own people and in our nation, where we carry out our judgment on situations and matters, right? And we are commanded by God not to hate our brother or our sister, right? Let's keep reading. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. See, your brother, your neighbor, so you can't hate him, right? And what that means is you cannot allow him to sin, right? You cannot stand by and watch your neighbor sin and just do nothing about it. That is showing hatred to them, right? Let's keep reading. Verse 18. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am Yahweh. So when Christ was talking about, you know what I mean, loving your neighbor as yourself, he was quoting this law, and that's what I just said, that this law, if we follow this one law, it would change so many things in our neighborhood overnight, because Christ himself even said this law, it is what he said on the two great laws is what the like on those two is what the whole law hangs on, and this is one of the two. Right, the other one is loving the Most High God. Like, that is how important it is for us to love the children of our people. Your neighbor is not Jim Bob from down the street. That's not the neighbor that they're talking about in the context of the Bible. That's not what the Most High God meant when he gave this as a law, right? When he gave this as a law, he was teaching the nation of Israel how to deal with each other, right? He was teaching us how to come together even when we had differences and difficulties within ourselves, right? But we lost that, right? It was beaten out of us, and then it was lured out of us through simple gifts like food stamps and Section 8 and HUD and child support, right? We still, at first it was beaten out of us, and it was slowly milked out of us in a way that it made it look like we were going to benefit, but at the end of the day, as Cat likes to say, it was banana and tailpipe. All right, it was all a lie. Right, and so what we need to do is to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God. That is the only way to avoid these plagues. That is the only way. That's the only shelter, because what's going to start happening soon is they're going to realize, listen, our medicines are starting to fail us. Yes, they can curb some things, and they can slow some things down, but there is going to come a point in the near future where even the scientific world is going to have to say, listen, these are plagues from God. Like, we're doing our best, but these are plagues from God. It is going to be so obvious that even the doctors themselves are going to have to admit, nah, y'all might got to get right with the Most High first. I don't even tell you. Because that's the point to where it's getting to. Because when Christ returns, listen, I mean, if you ain't right, you gonna wish for COVID-19 again. You gonna wish for monkeypox. If you ain't right with the Most High and Christ is back. Because it's not gonna be a good day. It is going to be a great and terrible day. And as we see what's going on in this world, that time is soon to come. And the only way to avoid these plagues, the only way to avoid, you know what I'm saying, you being on the t-shirt, because drug deal gone bad. Is you learn how to follow the law, statutes, and commandments by coming to join the ISUPK. You don't clean yourself up then come in here. That's not how it works. You don't get sick, right? Stay home and cure yourself and then go to the hospital. That's not how that works. You get sick and you come to the hospital sick. And while you're in the hospital, that's when you get healed from that sickness. Right? That is what the ISUPK is. The ISUPK is a hospital. Right? The Christian church is hospice. You come in that way, they're not trying to change you. They're trying to make you comfortable for the time you got left. Right? That's the only thing that the Christian church does. Right? It's just trying to make you comfortable. That's why you can be gay in a Christian church. You gotta follow the law. You can be a homosexual. You can be gay, a lesbian. You can be a pedophile. You can be an adulteress. You can be a whoremonger. You can be a pimp. You can be a drug dealer. You know what I mean? You can do whatever you want to do in the Christian church. They're just a hospice. They just want to make you comfortable. And here is the hospital. The ISUPK is the hospital. And the home of the truth is the only place that you can get the cure. And with that, since we have the time, shalom, Israel.